Chapter 11, You were no good during that night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xuanhuan immediately opened the window and asked, Do you two need me? To wait for you too. Just that, this voice became smaller and smaller, seemingly as if he was just saying that as a show of respect to his work. Seeing them walked away, he stepped onto the pedal. I don't want to see those two anymore, they are too hurtful. Sizing up the surrounding food stalls, Qinya pursed her lip, Do you normally eat those? I normally order takeout. In any case, you are also a boss, why do I feel that you are especially poor? Qinya had wanted to ask this question for quite a while, but she was afraid of hurting Yihua's pride. Yihua walked towards a skewer shop and said leisurely, I donated the money that I earned, and the rest is used to pay the workers' wage. You actually know how to donate money. Qinya seemed as if she had just discovered a new mainland. The impression that Yihua gave her was that of a cold and detached playboy. Incorrect. The impression that Yihua gave her was only that of a playboy that has serious eccentricity. But right now, in her view, she felt that he still at least had a bit of heart. I heard that one could nurture compassion by doing this. You do indeed lack compassion. Qinya immediately found a loophole and mocked at Yihua. Yihua's footsteps suddenly came to a stop, causing Qinya, who was immeasurably self-satisfied, to knock into him. If Yihua did not even finish speaking, Qinya cut him off and said, If it was in the past, you would have already killed me. I know, but the question is, do you dare to kill me now? Aim and stab right at my stomach, remember to aim properly. Yihua took a few huge deep breaths. Staying together with this woman, I will sooner or later turn back to that state in the past. However, as the child's mother, it is not bad that she has this kind of courage. She has a chance to become the supreme overlord's madam. Seeing that Yihua was unhappy, as if he just ate a housefly, Qinya felt really happy, just that she kept that happiness in her heart and her expression was still that cold as usual, seemingly as if everyone around her owed her money or something. The two of them casually found a table and sat down on the table. The waitress brought a menu and ran over. The waitress was an adorable young lady, she did not dare to look at the two people and had her head lowered. Yihua took the menu and tossed it over to Qinya, seemingly lazy to even order dishes. Lazy thing. Qinya mumbled. However, she was indeed feeling hungry right now, after all, she did not eat breakfast when she woke up in the morning. Yihua did not bother with her, if not for the child, I wouldn't even sit with her and have a meal together. I really want to use magic on that mouth of hers and seal it. Qinya also did not take the initiative to chat anymore. The two of them quietly waited for the dishes to be served. After all the dishes were served, Yihua said calmly, Prepare for me. Prepare what? Qinya went into a daze. Yihua indicated by looking at those skewers, then looking at his own bowl. Qinya was angered to the point that she laughed. Do you really think that you are a big shot? To actually want me to help you prepare, do you want me to also feed it into your mouth? Prepare it yourself. Qinya said coldly. You are my wife now, you have the authority to serve me. Yihua said with a deep voice, seemingly feeling in a bit of a bad mood already. Qinya almost spat out the tofu that was in her mouth, I have the authority to serve you. Sorry, I give up on this kind of authority. If it was during normal times, Yihua would still prepare it himself, after all, there was only him alone. But right now, this woman was considered nominally as his wife already. If he was to still have to prepare it himself, if words of that were to spread out, he would be losing face. Seeing that Yihua remained seated and did not eat anything, Qinya pouted her mouth and said, Your temper is quite big, huh? Yihua did not pay attention to her. I should not come out with her to eat anymore in the future. After 10+ minutes had passed, Qinya was amazed by Yihua. Finally, she stretched out her hand, prepared a skewer for Yihua and placed it in his bowl, Eat it. Seems like you have already realized your own mistake. Yihua said coldly, then picked up his chopsticks and picked up the meatball. Qinya felt that her lung was going to explode already. Why is this fellow this annoying? I only prepared a skewer for you after seeing that you were so pitiful. Prepare another skewer for me. Are your hands broken? Qinya was not going to pity Yi Hua anymore, and her tone was even colder. Prepare another skewer for me, I won't repeat it the second time. Yi Hua felt that this woman really needed to be taught a lesson. Qinya snorted coldly, you already said it the second time. Pa! Yi Hua slammed the chopsticks heavily onto the table. The surrounding customers were all shocked by that and wondered just what this super good-looking man and women were doing. Qinya was also shocked by that, and she felt really grievance in her heart. Resisting her tears, she said, come on, hit me then. Looking at the eyes that were gradually turning red, Yi Hua's anger calmed down by a bit. He leaned on the chair once again and did not say anything. However, the surrounding customers were all discussing spiritedly. Holy shit, that handsome guy was going to hit that beautiful woman. Tisk, tsk, to even be able to bear to lay his hands on a woman like this handsome guy is truly. The handsome guy is so handsome. Sicko. The atmosphere between the two immediately became calm, all the way until Qinya's phone rang. Looking at the caller, Qinya wrinkled her brows, however, she still picked up the phone. Qinya, I heard that you went to Longan City, why didn't you inform me? I could have accompanied you to go to Longan City. Qinya said indifferently, I'm accompanying my husband, I'm going to hang up first. Qinya, can you not be mature a bit and not play this kind of routine anymore? I know that your impression towards me is not good, but feelings can be nurtured. The man on the phone seemed to be very persistent, and at the same time, had blind confidence of himself. I'm accompanying my husband, I will not repeat this sentence a second time. Yi Hua said indifferently, this is the second time already. Qinya ruthlessly took a glare at Yi Hua, just whose side are you on? Alright, you are accompanying your husband. Grandpa wants us to go back to have a meal, just nice you are at Longan City right now, I will come to Longan City this afternoon, how about we have dinner together tonight? I'm not free. I'm accompanying my husband. Yi Hua said indifferently, this is the third time already. Qinya couldn't stand it anymore and shouted, will you die if you don't speak? What are you talking about, Qinya? The person on the site was confused, he felt that Qinya's anger was very big today. I want you to die. After finished speaking, Qinya hanged up the phone and began gorging on the food. All the customers that were present were shocked. This woman is really hard to suppress, she has such a strong aura, wanting someone to die at the drop of a hat. Yi Hua took out a cigarette and smoked silently. I'm full already. Qinya stroked her flat belly and felt that she had eaten up all her gloominess into her stomach, and after a while, all of it would be digested. Yi Hua did not say anything and stood up and walked out of the stall. Hey, are you really not going to eat? I'm asking you a question. Seeing that Yi Hua really walked out of the store, Qinya paid the bill and hurriedly followed after him. This fellow sure is stubborn. After catching up to Yi Hua, Qinya was a bit gasping for breath, can you walk a bit slower? Yi Hua turned his head over and took a look at Qinya, your body is no good, during that night, you almost fainted after only half an hour. Yi Hua's words immediately made Qinya recalled what happened during that night. You are precisely a bastard. Qinya shouted coquettishly and walked towards another direction while panting in rage. Yi Hua originally did not want to chase after her, but after thinking that his child was still in her stomach, he had no choice but to chase after her. This woman is really a woman that makes one feel vexed. Chapter 12, Comparing Figure. I'm not afraid of you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qinya, who was panting with rage, walked straight forward all the way, and unconsciously, there was actually no more path to walk. Without choice, she turned around and immediately saw Yi Hua who was catching up with her. At this moment, half of her anger had already disappeared, but she still did not pay attention to Yi Hua and walked towards the shopping center. The two of them arrived at the shopping center. Every time when Qinya entered into a shop, she would discover that Yi Hua was standing outside of the shop while smoking. I will count it that he still has a bit of conscience. However, when she walked out of the last shop, Qinya discovered that Yi Hua suddenly disappeared. This damned bastard, where did he run off to? It can't be that he saw some beautiful woman and eagerly followed after the beautiful woman, right? You finished buying everything. Yi Hua walked out unhurriedly from the other side. Qinya's brows wrinkled. Where did you run off to just now? I went to the toilet. Yi Hua said indifferently. Yi Hua snorted. I will count it that you are tactful. Carry it. I'm not carrying it. Yi Hua took a look at those small and big bags. As a supreme overlord, how can I help a woman carry things? If words were to spread out, where would my status be and how would others view me? Qinya was simply angered half to death. She felt that living together with this man, she would definitely have to live half a lifetime lesser. Taking out her phone, she called Lu Hang's phone. CEO Qing, is there anything that I can help serve you? Send a car over to first-rate shopping center. Qinya said indifferently. Alright CEO Qing, please wait a moment. After hanging up the phone, Qinya looked at the hateful figure and mumbled, forget it if you are not willing to help me carry things, but you still even walk that fast, do you not know that I am pregnant? That's right. Why did I forget about this? I am a pregnant woman, I am the biggest. Aya. Qinya cried out in alarm and feigned falling down onto the floor and held onto her stomach with a face full of pain. Benove calm Yi Hua's figure came to a stop, red light radiated within his pitch-black eyes, and when he saw that the small life was safe and sound, he let out a huge breath of relief. But, this woman almost caused my child to be gone. Anger, rage. The entire shopping center suddenly trembled lightly. It caused everyone to be shocked, they thought that it was an earthquake. Luckily, the tremble disappeared very quickly. Just now, if not for Yi Hua controlling it well, everyone in the shopping center would have most likely been dead. What's the matter with you, don't you know how to talk? Yi Hua shouted towards Qinya. Everyone in the shopping center heard that and couldn't help but looked over. Qinya was stupefied by Yi Hua's shout at her. I am pregnant with your child, what's wrong with me telling you to help me carry some things? Although I feigned the fall, can't you at least be concerned about me for a bit? Tears of grievance immediately started falling out as she thought about the helplessness during this period of time. I thought that I found a person who could help me, but in the end, I found a much more cold-blooded fellow. That's right. I don't know how to walk. You leave. The child and I don't need you to care. I don't want to see you anymore. Qinya cried, and she cried out very broken-heartedly. Not a single man is a good thing at all, why is my life this bitter? The men that I meet are all scumbags. The people at the shopping center leaned forward on the guardrail and looked at Qinya and Yi Hua and sighed incessantly. Such a beautiful woman is actually pregnant, and the man seems to be very cold-blooded. The woman had already fallen down on the floor and the man did not even show a bit of concern at all, and instead even questioned her if she knew how to walk or not. Tsk. It was the first time for Qinya to lose her self-control like this and weep endlessly in a public place where there were numerous people. Suddenly, Qinya, who was crying bitterly, felt something strength carrying her up. When she opened her eyes, she saw that face which seemed as if it was carved. It must be said that, Yi Hua was indeed really very attractive. Even if you don't find it embarrassing, I also find it embarrassing. Yi Hua said indifferently. Qinya took a look at the surroundings and discovered that there were a lot of people looking at her. I must have definitely been very embarrassing just now, I hope no one took a video of me just now, this is but precisely my black history. All of this is to be blamed on that damned bastard, to actually shout at me like that. But that I am carried in his embrace right now. What does this count as? Does he know that he is in the wrong already? Incorrect. He said that I am embarrassing. How am I embarrassing? Which woman is able to grow up as beautiful as me, have such a good figure like me, and also have that much money at the same time? And he even dares to say that I am embarrassing. He is too much of a bastard. Let me down. Qinya said calmly, her small face was a bit face. Yihua took a look at her, are you able to walk properly? You are the one that is not able to walk properly. Qinya snorted and walked forwards in huge strides. Lu Heng personally drove the car to first-rate shopping center to wait for Qinya. When he saw Yihua, this unfamiliar man, he was puzzled. Who is this guy? Could it be that he is that guy that the corporation had been crazily spreading and talking about? CEO Qing, careful of your head. Lu Heng opened the door and smiled respectfully, while Qinya had a cold face. Yihua stood at the side and said indifferently, move inside. Do you not know how to enter through the other side? Qinya was puzzled, must this fellow make me get in a bad mood? Finding a problem when there is no problem. Yihua took a look and said lightly, it is not safe. Qinya. If I can reverse time back to that night, even if I got beaten to death, I also wouldn't go to that bar, and would never want to get acquainted with this man. What are you being in a daze for? Without choice, Qinya moved inside and Yihua finally entered into the car. Lu Heng witnessed everything with his own eyes and he seemed as if he had just seen a ghost. CEO Qing actually moved. How could it be? Is this man really this formidable that even a woman like CEO Qing must do what she was told? CEO Qing, are we going to the company or? Lu Heng started the Audi A8, then turned his head around and asked. Qinya looked outside the window and said indifferently, ask him. Leisure bar. Yihua also looked outside the window and said coldly. Lu Heng felt that the atmosphere was a bit strange and did not dare to say anything. However, he felt that CEO Qing and this fiancé of hers was still quite matching. At the least, when comparing both of their looks, both of them could be placed on the same level. It is only the afternoon right now, going to a bar at this timing isn't too appropriate, right? However, wherever the CEO says she wants to go, I will just drive to that place. After a quiet journey, they arrived at the front of the bar and Qinya said lightly, leave the car here, I will be using it. Alright CEO Qing. Lu Heng clasped the key with both of his hands. Yihua silently took a look and totally did not have the intention to stretch out his hand to take the key. Opening the door, he walked into the bar by himself. Qinya felt angry, but she also could not show that she was angry in front of her subordinate and could only swallow her anger and take the key, and also the huge bunch of daily products and clothes to wash and change into. CEO Qing, let me help you. Because Qinya was not in a good mood, her tone was a bit strong, no need. Lu Heng felt that it was better for him to not involve himself in this matter and going back home to eat his wife's cooking was the right path. Qinya carried everything to the bedroom. Right now, it just so happens that Yihua was changing his clothes. Those muscles are strong like rock, and also that line, just how perfect is it? Incorrect. This fellow is definitely doing it on purpose and showing off his body in front of me. TSK, showing off one's body, who don't know how to do that. Right in front of Yihua, Qinya actually took off her shirt and skirt, and leaving herself only with her undergarments. That curvaceous figure, that perfect curve, that delicate skin, every part of it was that perfect, any man who saw this body would definitely go crazy for it. Little guy, to actually try to show off your body in front of me, if I don't bewitch you to death, I will write the word Qing horizontally. Right now, I reckon that he is closely staring at my back and fantasizing. Don't know if his saliva is dripping or not. Calabash Brothers, 7 flowers on a rattan. Windswept and battered by the rain, it is also not afraid, la, 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 la. Chinya's body froze, and her delicate hands clenched tightly. Bewitching spirit. Where do you think you are running? This fellow not only do not have humanity, there is also a problem with his IQ. Instead of looking at me, he is actually watching a cartoon, and even more, he is watching Calabash Brothers. Humiliation. Where is the bathroom? Chinya asked angrily. It is right beside you. Yihua revealed out an expression as if he was looking at a fool, almost angering Chinya to the point that she fainted. Chapter 13, Erotic Dream. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang! Chinya closed the bathroom's door ruthlessly, and the sounds of pitter-patter suddenly rang out from within the bathroom. If you spoil anything, you will have to pay for it. Yihua rested his head on his hand and shouted out. The sounds within the bathroom came to a stop for a moment, then in the next moment, the sounds became much louder. The sounds were like as if someone was tearing down the house. After half an hour, Chinya walked out from the bathroom while being covered by a bath towel. Call someone over to fix the tap is bent. Not free, you call instead. You can do as you please, in any case, this is also not my house. Chinya spread out her hands and sat on the bed, then used the quilt to cover her own beautiful body that even she herself was about to salivate over for. Yihua breathed in and out, then picked up the phone at the side and sent a text over to Wei Chang. As a supreme overlord, if everything had to be done by myself, what do I even need subordinates for? However, where did Lai Gu ran off to again today? Could it be that he went to meet that female celebrity again? He truly does not even have a bit of aspiration at all. Where is your dog? Chinya leaned on the bedhead and watched the cartoon along with Yihua. He went out to mate. Yihua replied calmly. Chinya's brows wrinkled, can't you talk properly? He went out to reproduce offspring. You. Yihua, is this how you have always been in the past? Chinya said in a deep voice. I feel that this man should be sick, and now that I think of that, I do feel a bit afraid. Will my child be infected by him? Yihua said indifferently, no, then how were you like in the past? Yihua turned his head over, looked at the gorgeous Chinya who was on the bed and said indifferently, in the past, I was someone who made others feel frightened. Yihua, when you are not acting cool, you are quite handsome. Chinya shook her head helplessly. She felt that Yihua was just like a Chinibyu youth. Yihua laughed lightly, act cool. In the past, there were many people who acted cool in front of me, but none of them were able to succeed. Haha. Chinya was amused by Yihua. This man is always able to talk nonsense with a serious face, but at the same time, he is also able to anger me and make me cry in an instant. Towards Chinya's laughter, Yihua chose to ignore it. No matter what, she is also the mother of my child, just that she is a bit stupid only. I'm really worried that my child's IQ would get pulled down by this woman. After a while, Chinya said, go to my home to eat tomorrow. Alright. So easy. Going. This fellow is not thinking of teasing me again, right? When you are at my home, you have to completely listen to me. Alright. The more Yihua acted like this, the more worried Chinya was. She felt that Yihua was not reliable and was sloppy. While thinking about it, Chinya gradually closed her beautiful eyes, and she actually dreamt of that night. Chinya. Chinya. A familiar voice rang out beside her ears and Chinya replied muddle-headedly, don't mess around, I can't take it anymore, prepare to eat already. Yihua said in a deep voice. This woman is really stupid to the heavens, she is actually still recalling about what happened during that night. Eat. Chinya, who was within her beautiful dream, immediately woke up and pointed at Yihua, just now. You. You had an erotic dream. Yihua said indifferently. Impossible. Yihua revealed out an expression of disdain, I will record it down for you next time. Go and die. Qinya bit on her lips and stretched out her hands to feel. Immediately, her face changed and turned completely red. Looking at Qinya who rushed into the bathroom, Yihua let out a sigh. Opening Meituan, he began ordering food. Chicken mushroom stew seems quite good. Also, let's get a few caddy of fried crayfishes. Meituan is a food delivery app. When Qinya came out of the bathroom, a fragrance was filled within the entire room. The bright red crayfishes emitted steam, making others to not be able to help but swallow their saliva. Pulling over a small low stool, Qinya began tucking in unrestrainedly. Looking at Qinya, Yihua's brows wrinkled. This woman really does not have any manners. I thought you don't have any money. Where did you get the money to order food? Qinya peeled a piece of crayfish, placed it into the broth and stirred it around, then ate it with a face of content. It is really delicious, my subordinate's money. Yihua said indifferently. Qinya almost spat out the crayfish meat. You actually used other people's money to order food. Even if you want to donate, there is also no need to donate all of your money, right? I found it troublesome, so I just straightforwardly donated my entire card. Formidable. After pausing for a bit, Yihua continued speaking, using my subordinate's money is indeed not really good, give me a card later on. The corner of Qinya's mouth twitched, so there is no problem if you are using your wife's money. Not sure who is the one who said that money is but a bunch of papers only. Remember to give me a card with a big overdraft. Yihua totally did not pay attention to what Qinya just said. Qinya said with discontent, why should I? Because you are my wife. Yihua's temper also came. Using your money is because I show respect for you, and also because you are the child's mother, if not, I wouldn't even bother to pay attention to you. Qinya was actually left speechless. I will just treat it as giving him labor fee. Picking up the bag at the side, Qinya casually took out a black diamond card and placed it on the table. Yihua accepted the card unrestrainedly, and immediately bind the card to his WeChat. What is the PIN number? 123456. Yihua slightly went into a daze. This woman sure has a personality. After finish binding the card to his WeChat, he finally did not have to use Wei Chang's money anymore. Because of this matter, Wei Chang had often complained to me about it. He is truly a stingy monster. Yihua, who was in quite a good mood, said indifferently, help me peel the crayfish. The crayfish that was within Qinya's hands immediately fell onto the table as she looked at Yihua in disbelief. Why should I? Because you are my wife. Yihua said indifferently. Qinya slammed onto the table and stood up, am I your wife or your maid? There are a lot of rules for being my wife, you can slowly learn. Yihua said calmly. Qinya snorted, whoever wants to be your wife can go ahead and be my guest. In any case, after my child is born, we will divorce. After Qinya finished speaking, the atmosphere within the room immediately froze. Yihua's gaze was fixed onto Qinya, and the latter was looked at by Yihua to the point that she withdrew back. Qinya did not feel that she was in the wrong at all. Giving him money, and also giving birth to a child for him, I have more or less give everything to him, and yet he still wants this and that, totally not considering about my feelings at all. For me to not slam the door and leave, I am already giving him a lot of face. Sitting on the small stool, Qinya continued eating. Better eaten than wasted, you can just continue and foolishly watch me eat. In the past, since Yihua ate alone, he had no other choice but to peel it himself, but it was different now, he has a wife now. Since I have a wife now, I don't have to peel it myself anymore. If I were to peel it myself, and words of it were to spread out, where would my face be? This fellow is really not eating. He did not eat in the afternoon, and during the night, he also wants to be obstinate with me. Forget it, seeing that you are so pitiful, I will peel a piece of crayfish for you, then reward you with a chicken but two. Haha. Seeing Qinya taking the initiative to pass the food over to him, Yihua's mood became a little better. He felt that he was a bit agitated today, and his humanity which he had cultivated for a few years almost came close to collapsing today. Seeing Yihua eat the crayfish meat that she peeled for him, Qinya had a kind of strange feeling in her heart, and unconsciously, she peeled another crayfish for Yihua. Afterward, the two did not talk anymore. Qinya ate one crayfish, then peeled another one for Yihua, and in a flash, a few catty of crayfish was eaten. I'm so full. My fingers hurt from peeling all the crayfishes. Qinya pouted her mouth and looked at her tender fingers, feeling heart pain incessantly for her fingers. Yihua turned around and said indifferently, tidy up the table. This Yihua must be sent by the heavens to punish me. I must persevere. Persevere for 9 more months. Chapter 14, Acting Cool After Smoking Syndrome. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, Lai Gu walked into the room with jolting buttocks. When Lai Gu walked into the room, Qinya was shocked, and Lai Gu trembled for a bit. What a beautiful woman. Woof, woof, woof. Lai Gu raised his head and barked a few times. Imperial Translation. Your Honor, didn't you say that you wouldn't touch the same woman twice? She is my wife. Yihua said indifferently. Lai Gu suddenly jumped backward and looked at Qinya in disbelief, then afterward, he kneeled down on the floor and barked with his head raised, woof, woof, woof. Imperial Translation. Honorable Madam, please receive this humble one's kowtow. Qinya snorted, the master is strange, and so is the dog too. Although Qinya was grumbling with her mouth, her hands were focused on cleaning the table. She exerted all her strength to wipe off the oil stain on the table, seemingly not being to stand to look at this kind of thing. Seems like she was also a woman who has misophobia. As for Yihua, he lied down on the sofa and watched the Calabash brothers fight with the vixen together with Lai Gu. After throwing away the rubbish, Qinya walked into the room, and when she saw that Yihua was still watching the cartoon, she shouted, I'm here tired like a dog, and you are here watching television. Do you not know how to try helping me for a bit? Yihua did not turn his head back at all. While stroking Lai Gu's head, he said indifferently, you think too much, a dog isn't as tired as you. Yihua. Do you want to fight? Qinya's eyes immediately turned red. This is my first time cleaning things up, forget about you not helping me at all, but you actually mock at me after I clean things up. How could there be a man like this in this world? Woof, woof, woof. Imperial Translation. Your Honor, the madam is crying. Yihua shook his head. This woman's mental strength sure is weak, just one sentence only and it is able to make her cry. I really don't know how she managed to earn all that money. In the past, Qinya was not like this. Perhaps it was because she was pregnant now and her mood fluctuation was comparatively bigger now. Adding on with that, right now she only trusts Yihua, but the state that Yihua displayed out was different from what she had expected. This kind of feeling made her felt very perplexed and also grievance. Yihua closed the television and said indifferently, let's go out and take a walk, it will be beneficial for the fetus. Seeing that Yihua's tone softened, Qinya snorted, not going. It has been a very long time that someone rejected me so many times within a day, yet, I can't do anything about it at all because she is my child's mother. Lai Gu barked out a few more times again. Imperial Translation. Your Honor, Madam sure has a personality. Yihua took a glare at Lai Gu, and the latter curled up his body in fear. This woman is in lack of a lot of teaching. Grabbing onto Qinya's pure white wrist, Yihua said in a deep voice, let's go. Not going, not going. Yihua did not care that much and just pulled onto Qinya and walked. Be gentler a bit, it hurts. At this time, it was leisure bar's peak period, many women waited at the bar as usual. The familiar sounds of footsteps started ringing out from the stairs, just that the sound sounded like it was in a bit of a hurry, and also, there were the sounds of another footstep. When the women saw Yihua appeared, and he was pulling onto an incomparably beautiful woman, countless sounds of glass breaking could be heard within leisure bar, those were the sounds of heartbreaks. The boss that he is actually pulling onto another woman. And they are so intimate too. What happened to the boss? Let go of the boss, he doesn't belong to you, he belongs to the entire world. However, the men who were seated in the bar were different. When they saw Chinya's face, they were stupefied. It is not unreasonable that the boss likes a woman like this. Another woman like this cannot be found in this entire bar. That red eyes of the woman, it makes her seem so pitiful and lovely at the same time. Incorrect. Why are the beautiful woman's eyes red? Thinking about it, it could be that the boss is too vicious. When Chinya heard the painful grumbles of those women, she felt disdain in her heart. What is good about this man? You all are only confused by his outer appearance. This man is already at the point where he almost needs to be spoon-fed when eating. Being his wife is the equivalent of doing bitter work for him, and furthermore, you have to listen to him preach time to time, and even have to get ridiculed at a few times. Let go, I know how to walk. Chinya's anger had calmed down by a lot. Yihua let go of Chinya's wrist. Don't try to make me angry in the future. Chinya's anger, which had just calmed down, was immediately ignited up again. Yihua, just who is the one that is trying to make who angry? You better explain it clearly to me today. Your tone right now is exactly trying to make me angry. Yihua said indifferently. Chinya sneered, I am just precisely trying to make you angry. What are you going to do about it? If you have the guts, you cannot want the child then. Worst come to worst, I will just raise the child on my own, then married to someone else and let your child recognize someone else as the father. Yihua's footsteps immediately came to a stop. This woman is not only foolish, but she is also already foolish to the point that she is crazy. What is it, angry already? Want to hit me? Come on, I will let you hit me. In any case, you only know how to bully me. Chinya shouted angrily, erupting out all the grievance in her heart. Yihua suddenly turned around and raised his hand. There was a trace of viciousness within his pale face. Looking at Yihua, who was calm and scary at the same time, Chinya's beautiful eyes turned red again. He really wants to beat me. Tears started sliding down Chinya's delicate face. The slap that Chinya imagined did not land on her face, and instead, the palm of Yihua's hand rubbed gently onto Chinya's cheek. I'm not that bad to the point that I would hit a woman. Yihua said in a deep voice. After finished speaking, he continued walking forward, leaving Chinya, who was standing right there with a foolish expression. This bastard. He actually changed a new way to tease me. I definitely cannot endure it. I must think of a way to punish him, if not I will suffocate myself to death. Chinya ran for a bit to chase after Yihua, who was at the front. The two of them came to the river bank to go for a walk. The slight wind made one felt carefree and relaxed, but both Chinya and Yihua did not bother with each other. During the whole journey, Chinya was pondering over Yihua's weak points, and the conclusion that she got, in the end, was that, no matter what Yihua did, he wouldn't dare to really beat her, and would only use his mouth to talk, so as long as she takes advantage of this point, she would be able to anger him. Are you prepared for tomorrow night's family feast? Chinya asked casually and dragged her fingers at her beautiful hair that was blown messy by the wind. Too beautiful, the men that were in the surrounding all knocked into a tree. Don't talk about a family feast, even if it was a feast at Hongmen, Yihua also wouldn't look upon it seriously. Right now, aside from the child, there was no one, and nothing that could give rise to Yihua's interest. Feast at Hongmen, a feast set up to murder its guest. There is nothing to prepare. Chinya did not like this point of Yihua the most. He is acting cool too much already, and he still dares to say that I was acting cool. Your opponent is very strong. The vicious sickness that my grandpa gotten back when he was at the battlefield was cured by that fiancé of mine. My dad's periarthritis and my mom's rheumatism were both cured by him too. Yihua silently took out a cigarette and lighted it up. You are my wife right now, not someone else's fiancé. I'm discussing tactics with you. What are you bringing this up for? Chinya wrinkled her brows and said in displease. Yihua took a puff. then unhurriedly exhale. No tactics are needed, it is but an insignificant person only. Can you not act cool? Qinya held on to her forehead. Could it be that this man suffers from acting cool after smoking syndrome? Every time when he talks while smoking, he can brag especially well. When he is not smoking, he is a people of Longan City, but when he is smoking, the entire Longan City is his. Leaning on the protective railing, Yihua flicked the cigarette ash and said indifferently, Qinya, your scope is still too low. Here he comes again. My scope is low, how about you raise my scope for me then? Qinya also leaned on the protective railing. I want to listen to just what this man can brag about this time. Yihua flicked the cigarette butt and said unhurriedly, do you feel that you are very formidable? Chapter 15, Boss is Benevolent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Humph, I started my business when I was 20 years old. After going through 5 years, I started from zero up to a company that is worth tens of billions right now. Furthermore, the company is currently the top 50 companies in the whole nation. I dare to ask, in this world, who is able to accomplish this? Qinya snorted and spoke out her own glorious history. I am indeed this world's strongest woman. Yihua slanted his eyes and took a look at her. Your family helped you out quite a bit, right? Qinya's gaze was a bit swaying. They only helped a small portion. Let's not talk about this first. Let's say, if there is a sniper within that building right now, and the sniper is aiming right at you, what would you do? Yihua said calmly as he pointed towards the building at the front. Qinya went into a daze for a bit, then said casually, call the police. The police arrived, but you are lying within a pool of blood, and the glory that you had in this life vanished in a puff of smoke. Listening to those tranquil words of Yihua, Qinya seemed very serious and unprecedentedly did not retort. Sinking into contemplation, her gaze looked towards the building at the front. Yihua once again took out a cigarette and lighted it up, afterward, took a puff and lightly exhaled out. However, this time, ghastly killing intent was emitted from within his eyes. Above the sky of the river, a bullet pierced through the air and flew towards Qinya's forehead. However, all of a sudden, a weird wind caused the bullet to come to a halt, then soon after, the bullet flew backward at its trajectory at a rapid speed. The sniper looked at the target through the 8x scope. What a beautiful woman, it is a pity. But 1 second after the sniper shot the sniper rifle, he did not see the target's head explode. Impossible. Where did the bullet run to? Bang! Following the ringing of a sound, the sniper rifle suddenly exploded, and half of the sniper's neck was swept away by the explosion. The sniper's head was falling off, and the sniper tried his utmost effort to hold his head upright, but it was useless. As the sniper lied on the wall powerlessly, he gradually lost his consciousness, all the way up till his death. Qinya was totally oblivious to how much danger she was in just a while ago, and was still thinking about the question, and in the end, she said stubbornly, where is there that many bad guys? Bad guys are everywhere, perhaps the bad guy is even at your side. From what I see, you look just like a bad guy. Qinya pouted her mouth. This man sure has a bunch of dishonest thinking in his mind. Yihua flicked off the cigarette, but again, I simply want to tell you that, rather than letting other people control your life, you are better off controlling everyone. Controlling everyone. Qinya stared fixedly at Yihua, and after a good while, she said, Yihua. Are you thinking of letting me be a bad guy? Bad guy? Haha. Yihua laughed lightly. Hey, you stand right there and explain it clearly to me. What are you laughing about? Stand right there. You this bastard. Qinya hurriedly chased after Yihua, then suddenly jumped onto Yihua's back and embraced onto Yihua's neck with both of her hands. The latter's face turned black and shouted, come down. No manners. Not coming down. Are you coming down or not? Not coming down. If you have the guts, throw me into the river then. Qinya snorted, she was certain that Yi Hua wouldn't dare to throw her into the river. Yi Hua could be seen walking towards the protective railing, and Qinya began to feel a bit nervous. Seeing that Yi Hua was preparing to climb up onto the protective railing, Qinya shouted out loudly, "I will come down. I will come down, you win." Yi Hua looked coldly at Qinya. To actually let me carry her. If words were to get out, where would my face be? As a supreme overlord, I actually carried a woman. Don't be this rude next time. Yi Hua said coldly. Qinya said in disdain, "Do you think that you are an emperor? What about this is rude? Will you die if you carry your wife for a bit?" "That's right, I will die." You. During the journey back to the bar, Yi Hua secretly informed Lai Gu to go check on that hitman, but not to mess up the scene, just secretly check it out will do. I sure want to see, just who has such huge guts, to actually want to murder my child. Returning back to Leisure Bar, Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. In the past, the bar would be packed with people right now, but today, the bar was only half filled. Just what happened? Qinya understood the situation clearly with just one look. With a sweet voice, she shouted out, "Yi Hua, I will go upstairs and bath first, you quickly come up, okay?" Immediately, a few women left the bar in a bad mood. Seeing that, Qinya felt that her entire body was at ease, and as for Yi Hua, he took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. Sooner or later, I will be driven mad by this woman. Boss. Wei Chang shouted respectfully. Yi Hua surveyed the surroundings and said in a deep voice, "Just let it be like this for now. Boss, if this carries on, our business will have to be closed in a few months' time." Wei Chang was very helpless. Ever since the lady boss appeared, the women that came to the bar had more or less all left and stopped coming. Those women are the bar's main consumer. Yi Hua does not sigh normally, but right now, he also sighed, "Wait for me to move out in a few days and everything should return to normal." "Boss, you want to move out?" Wei Chang was in disbelief. His honor has not moved from here during the 5 years, why did he suddenly want to move out now? "And, in the future, you will look over this place?" Yi Hua said indifferently. Wei Chang nodded his head and said very cautiously, "Boss, during this night, 200 plus RMB disappeared from my card. Black lines appeared on Yi Hua's forehead. I won't use your card anymore in the future. Boss is benevolent." Wei Chang was in exultation. His honor is finally not going to use my money anymore, I almost feel like crying already. Walking into the bedroom, Yi Hua discovered that Qinya went to shower again. Just how many times does this woman need to shower in a day? Her misophobia is even more serious than mine. After a while, Qinya walked out from the bathroom unhurriedly and said indifferently, "Everyone left already." Yi Hua lied on the bed and did not reply as he looked at the latest magazine within his hand. "Tisk, TSK, looking at today's situation, I reckon that your bar will have to close in a few months' time." Qinya was very happy, there was nothing more pleasurable than looking at Yi Hua's unhappy face. Yi Hua closed the magazine and said indifferently, "It is okay, your card is in my hand." "Bastard, using a woman's money, gigolo. Using my wife's money, it is fair and aboveboard." Yi Hua said calmly. "Yi Hua, just how thick is your skin?" Qinya lied on the bed and stretched out her hand towards Yi Hua's face to pinch it. Yi Hua's brows wrinkled, "What are you doing?" Oh, someone is getting angry." "Tisk," Qinya said in disdain and straightforwardly lied at the other side of the bed. "Who let you sleep on the bed?" Yi Hua asked in a deep voice. "This woman actually dares to sleep on the bed without getting my consent first." Qinya pursed her lips, "If you are not happy about it, you can go sleep on the sofa then." Yi Hua was angered to the point that his fingers started trembling. If she, endure for another 9 months and I will be able to resume back my peaceful life. Long Outyan's mood was pretty good today. Just thinking that I have such a beautiful fiancée is enough to make me feel excited incessantly. A woman that is beautiful to that degree is really rare. Furthermore, I cured the sickness of her entire family members and won over her elders' favor. Although she rejected me on the surface, it is only because she is embarrassed in her heart only. How could I not understand about that? After all, it is always written like that in the novels. Chased after a cool and elegant CEO, then chased after a super big celebrity, then chased after whatever eldest daughter of a concealed martial family. This is, Long Outyen's, true portrayal. I won't live for nothing in this life anymore, ahaha. Not sure what Qinya is doing at this timing. I will give her a call and say goodnight to her first. Yihua was not used to having someone sleeping by his side, even if that person was a woman who he had touched before, thus, it led to him suffering from insomnia. However, this woman is actually sleeping so soundly that her saliva is about to drip out. My God! So disgusting. Chapter 16, Do you still remember what you called me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, Qinya's phone suddenly rang, and Yihua immediately shook Qinya. Your phone is ringing. Yihua had never seen before such an irritating woman. He suddenly sort of regretted his decision on that night. Picking up the phone and taking a look at it, he saw that it was an unfamiliar number and straightforwardly hung up the call. But he didn't expect that the phone would start ringing again. Yihua took a few huge deep breaths. He felt that he was on the verge of going berserk. Immediately, he answered the phone call. Qinya, are you asleep? Long Outyen asked tenderly. Yihua coldly replied with a stiff face, she is asleep. After finished speaking, he hung the phone. Long Outyen, who was far away at High Ocean City, was stupefied. Looking at his phone, he scratched his hair. It was a man that picked up the phone just now. It is only 11 p.m. right now. It must definitely be someone that she hired to act as her boyfriend. It must definitely be. Haha. After sitting still for a while, Long Outyen rushed out hurriedly and drove towards Longan City in the late night. After waiting for a while, Yihua finally felt a bit of sleepiness, and he unhurriedly lied down on the bed. In the end, just when he was about to prepare to sleep, Qinya suddenly turned over and actually used her leg to press onto him. This woman's hands are even embracing onto me too. Furthermore, her head is actually resting on my chest, and the important point is that she is even dripping saliva too. I really want to use magic and go back to a month back, then nothing would have happened. But after thinking about it, forget about it, stroking onto Qinya's flat belly and feeling that familiar blood vessels, Yihua's jittery mood calmed down. Qinya, who was in her dream, let out a bunch of faint breathing again. Yihua really wanted to shout out, your head. Are you finished or not? Why did I not see you during that night? Oh, that's right, she fainted in the end during that night. Yihua, I want to beat this pig head of yours to a pulp. Qinya, who was sleeping soundly, muttered out. Yihua's face was gloomy. I really want to kick this woman awake. Forget about her dripping saliva, but she even talks in her sleep too. Listening to countless curses, Yihua gradually fell asleep. A sun slowly raised from the east, and the golden sunshine sprinkled over the earth. Qinya was like an octopus, hugging onto Yihua without any image at all. Actually, she had the habit of hugging a doll when she sleeps, belonging to the type of people who lacks a sense of security. Ring, ring, ring. The phone suddenly started ringing. Yihua's brows wrinkled. My phone is normally turned off at night. The phone that is ringing right now definitely belongs to this woman. Your phone is ringing. Yihua shouted in a deep voice. Qinya muddle-headedly raised her head, stretched out her hand and picked up the phone. Who is it? Calling during the early morning. Qinya, it is me, Outyen. Long Outyen drove the car and hurried over because he wants to know if it was real or fake. Yihua said in displease, next time when you sleep, remember to turn off your phone. Got it, you sure are long-winded. Qinya said impatiently, and immediately hung up the phone. then turned off the phone, and went back to continue sleeping. Long Outyen, who was sitting in the car, was stupefied. This man's voice is the same as the voice from yesterday night. Could it be that they really slept together? This is not possible. Long Outyen is, after all, a peerless immortal doctor. How could the woman that I have selected be slept by other men? This is not possible. Immense anger caused the steering wheel to become deformed, and Long Outyen's ordinary face became even more twisted and malevolent. Looking. Chinya. If you dare to do something that let me down, I will definitely make you pay for it. At the other side, Yi Hua was not sleepy anymore and said indifferently, until what time do you want to sleep till? Chinya wrinkled her brows, then immediately raised her head, while with a panic expression on her face. Why am I lying in his embrace? I must have definitely been pulled into his embrace by him. What did you do to me? Chinya said shyly and angrily. Yi Hua sneered, and pointed to his own pajamas. Look at what you did. So disgusting, your saliva actually dripped all the way to your chest. Chinya said with a face full of disdain. Yi Hua knew that this woman would not admit to it. Luckily, I recorded it down before I slept. When Chinya saw her sleeping posture and those alluring sounds she let out, her entire person immediately didn't felt good. After thinking about it for quite a while, she said, "You pervert, you actually took a video of me secretly. Tonight when you sleep, distance yourself a bit further away from me." Yi Hua said in a deep voice. Chinya precisely did not like this attitude of Yi Hua's. The more Yi Hua acted like this, the more firm and upright Chinya was about it. I am just precisely going to hug you when I sleep, what about it? You are my husband, what is wrong with me leaning on you? Yi Hua suddenly recalled something and laughed lightly. When Chinya saw this smile of Yi Hua's, she immediately felt unhappy. He is definitely ridiculing at me. What are you laughing about? Don't hide about it. Chinya shouted. Laughing at you? What of me are you laughing at? What is there to laugh about? Chinya sat her body upright, and her proud figure immediately displayed out. She didn't really mind it. After all, the both of them even had a much intimate thing happen between them. Furthermore, they were husband and wife right now, although there was a bit of the feeling of impersonating in their identity as husband and wife. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth raised up as he looked at Chinya. Chinya's body trembled, she felt that something bad was coming. Do you remember that night? That night? Chinya muttered, then immediately remembered. You are shameless. Yi Hua laughed once again. Do you still remember what you called me during that night? Chinya flipped through her memory. I was muddle-headed during that night. What did I call him? What did I call him? Immediately. Chinya's face changed greatly, and her face was as red as a tomato. I forbid you to say it. You remember it already. Looking at Chinya's panic look, Yi Hua wants to say that he felt really great. Didn't you like to be obstinate very much? I forbid you to say it. When a certain person is excited, she called me him. When Yi Hua was about to say it out, his mouth was immediately covered by Chinya. I'm going to fight you to the death. An hour later, the two of them sat down at a vendor stall to eat breakfast. The corner of Yi Hua's mouth raised slightly, whereas the corner of Chinya's mouth was lowered, and her exquisite small face was bright red. Seems like Yi Hua won this early morning's contest. The youtiao is too long, tear it into 3 pieces. Yi Hua said lightly. Youtiao, basically a long piece of deep-fried dough. Chinya was just about to retort back, but when she saw the grin on Yi Hua's mouth, she immediately surrendered. Picking up the youtiao with her delicate hands, she pulled onto the youtiao with both of her hands. The men that were in the surrounding all did not know what was going on. When they saw Chinya pulled the youtiao, their entire body shivered. This woman is too fierce already. You look just like a woman that is filled with grievance right now. Yi Hua picked up the youtiao, placed it into the porridge and stirred it around for a bit. The taste is not bad. Chinya snorted, this is all because of you. You could have not shouted it. You. Qinya's exquisite face turned red again. This bastard, clinging on to my black history and not letting go of it, he is too much of a bastard. Yihua elegantly drank a mouth of porridge, then said indifferently, as long as you are obedient, I cannot mention about it. You are precisely a bastard. Qinya scolded in a low voice. You are not obedient again. Why should I be obedient towards you? Because you called me. Don't say it. Qinya immediately covered Yihua's mouth again, causing all the men in the surrounding to feel jealous of Yihua. Yihua wrinkled his brows and the latter immediately withdrew back her hands. Qinya always asked herself why she has to be afraid of Yihua, but she does not know why. She would always feel that Yihua was aloof and remote. Although she had ridiculed him about it before, her woman's institution told her that, this aloof and remote of his was normal. Chapter 17, Two Subordinates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As long as you don't request anything too excessive, I will listen to you. In the end, Qinya still surrendered to Yihua. I will temporarily give in to him for now. When the time comes where I catch a black history of his, I will let him have a taste of what I am made of. Yihua was very satisfied as he nodded his head. You are making a bit of progress. Qinya snorted, itching to pick up the bowl of porridge in her hands and cover it onto that perfect face. After eating breakfast, let's go buy some gifts, then go to my house to eat during noon. Qinya pouted her mouth and said. Yihua did not oppose and lightly said, N. Qinya thought that Yihua would say some strange things, and didn't expect that he would agree that easily. Seems like he is also not that unreasonable, tsk. He is precisely just finding things to do because he has nothing to do. I hope that nothing will go wrong today. When you enter a village, you have to follow the local customs. Yihua understood that. When meeting the female's family, gifts had to be bought. However, in this world, there is no one that can bear to receive a gift from me, let alone eat together with me. Being able to eat with me, it is their blessing. Just like this woman, to be able to bear my child, it is the most worthy thing that she could be proud of. All the women in this world would be jealous of her. After buying some tobacco, alcohol and health-maintain products, the two of them returned back to Leisure Bar. Qinya was at the room choosing what to wear. She definitely had to dress herself up prettily. Although she was already very beautiful, which woman would not wish that they could be even more beautiful? Whereas for Yihua, he was still wearing a Western suit as usual. No matter whenever he went out, it would be a black Western suit. This point wouldn't change, even if it was a sizzlingly hot summer. Standing at the bar counter, Yihua mixed a glass of alcohol for himself. Alcohol and tobacco in this world are indeed good things. If I have to rank them, alcohol would be number 1, tobacco would be number 2, and women would with great difficulty be at least number 3, I guess. Woof, 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 Lai Gu suddenly appeared and barked a few times towards Yihua. Imperial Translation. Your Honor, I have already investigated everything. The killer belongs to an international hitman organization. I questioned his soul via torture and found out that he only received the mission to assassinate Madame. If you want to investigate it furthermore, I will have to go to their general headquarters at London. Yihua lightly took a sip of the rose rain that he mixed and said indifferently, there is no need to investigate, kill all of them. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial Translation. Your Honor, I still have a date tonight, how about you ask Wei Chang go instead? It has been a very long time since he has eaten well. Yihua squinted his eyes and looked at Lai Gu. You are still messing around with that female celebrity. Lai Gu immediately shook its dog head, then sat on the floor obediently and extended out his tongue. For a skeletal dragon to act like this, it was really speechless. Yihua sighed lightly, Wei Chang. The void suddenly became distorted and Wei Chang's figure unhurriedly walked out from it. Kneeling down with one of his knees, and his right hand placed on his chest, he shouted out respectfully, Your Honor. Lai Gu said that you have not had your fill for a very long time already. Yi Hua lighted up a cigarette. Through the smoke, his cold gaze looked at his own subordinate. Wei Chang said in a deep voice, "Your Honor, you said that we have to be human-like." Thus subordinate did not dare to eat too much. Lai Gu let you to go eat your fill. There is a hitman organization in London, you go and settle it. Yi Hua said coldly. At this moment, he had already sentenced those people to death. Wei Chang was a bit melancholy and did not answer back straightforwardly. What is it? Your Honor, will you reimburse the air ticket to go to London and back to Longan City? Bang! The wine cup within Yi Hua's hand immediately shattered. That woman was already vexing enough, and right now these two subordinates of mine actually dare to openly go against my order. Seems like you two want to rebel against me, huh? Yi Hua's pupils suddenly turned red, appearing seemingly bewitching. However, this was also the symptom right before Yi Hua gets angry. Subordinate does not dare. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation. Subordinate does not dare. An hour later, if that hitman organization is not annihilated, I will annihilate you too. Yi Hua fluttered his hand. What remains unseen was deemed to be clean. Seems like my decision was wrong, becoming human-like would cause one to rebel. In the past, there was no way that they would go against my order. It is also possible that it is because my temper had become much better than before. Lai Gu and Wei Chang were flung all the way to the Pacific Ocean and both of them were currently soaking within the ocean water. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation. Gluttonous monster, you actually rejected such a good thing. Wei Chang said helplessly, His Honor said that we need to be more human-like. I have been reading a novel recently, and the protagonist within that novel talked like this towards his boss. Woof, 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 woof. Imperial translation. You will sooner or later be destroyed because of the novel. You even almost implicated me just now. Why did you not go? Didn't you like to do this kind of thing the most in the past? Wei Chang asked in puzzlement. Searching houses and exterminating families were Lai Gu's favorites. The number of people that died within his hand was immeasurable, especially females. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation. The small celebrity invited me to go rock climbing today. I presume that there is definitely a cave within that mountain. Wei Chang said indifferently as his body gradually floated up. The wet security guard uniform immediately became dry. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation. How did you know that? Wei Chang rolled his eyes. If there is no cave there, would you even bother going there? After finished speaking, a void black hole appeared in front of Wei Chang once again. After Wei Chang stepped into the void black hole, he disappeared entirely. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation. Gluttonous monster, you actually didn't send me off to my destination, I'm going to be late for my date. Lai Gu howled in grief, then paddled unhurriedly forward on the ocean water. However, a huge black figure suddenly appeared below Lai Gu. A huge whale opened its huge mouth and swallowed Lai Gu along with other fishes entirely, then submerged into the seabed. The surface of the ocean became peaceful once again. However, the huge whale that was in the seabed was a bit peculiar, seemingly feeling very painful as bloodstains emitted out from its huge mouth incessantly, attracting over countless of great white sharks. Pop! At both sides of the huge whale, two huge bone wings suddenly stretched out. When the bone wings stretched out, each of the wings were a few hundred meters long. Then, the head of the huge whale began to become distorted. With the sound of a bang, the head of the huge whale exploded and was substituted by a huge dragon head. The tusks within the mouth of the dragon head made one's hair stand on its end, and the dragon tail pierced through the tail of the huge whale. This should be a huge whale that could fly right. Woof, woof, woof. Imperial translation. Much faster now. Lai Gu suddenly realized something. He had become so used to barking that after transforming back into a dragon, he was still barking. It doesn't seem too good to still continue on barking, right? If words of it were to get out, just how embarrassing would it be for me? Roar, roar, roar. The roars of a dragon formed huge vortexes at the seabed and immediately spread towards all directions. A huge whale which had a pair of wings swam freely and happily within the ocean. However, at the seabed of another direction, a small gold dragon could be seen, and it was currently vigilantly sizing up the surroundings. Just a while, he was swallowing fishes, and all of a sudden, he heard the frightening roars of a dragon. Could it be that, there is someone who has a swallowing system too? How is it possible? And his system rank is actually this high already. This place is not suitable for staying too long, I better go back to my school and eat some small fishes and earn a bit of money first. At the other side of the earth, at the outskirts of London, there was an ancient castle there. This place was the residence of a baron. Of course, this was just a false appearance. This was actually the general headquarters of purgatory hitmen. Internationally, it was also a well-known hitman organization, mainly because a young super hitman appeared in this organization before, and whatever mission that he had taken, he had a 100% completion rate. It was rumored that he had recently washed his hands clean of being a hitman and had already disappeared. Chapter 18, Those Are All Delicacies. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 18, Those Are All Delicacies. Wearing a light blue security guard uniform, Wei Chang arrived at the castle gate and politely stretched out his hand to knock onto the gate. Knock, knock, knock. It must be said that, Wei Chang's luck was quite good as today just so happens to be the date where the Hitman organization would hold their regular meeting. Currently, they were discussing about the mission at Longan City yesterday. Deep within the castle, 10 higher.UPS were currently having a solemn discussion. Their attire was appropriate to the occasion, just a look and one would know that those people were the elites within the upper class. Cold.Blood is our S.Rank hitman, how could he had possibly failed? I don't know. I feel that we should set this request aside for now, China is not a good place. If Kaiser was still here, he would definitely oppose this time's mission. Moreover, Cold.Blood is Kaiser's friend too. Kaiser has already left, there is no need to talk about him. Wei Chang stood outside the gate and knocked for a full minute, and no one actually came to open the gate. Feeling a little impatient, Wei Chang suddenly shot out a black light from his fingertip. The black light was shot up to the sky and came to a stop at 100 meters above the ground. When it came to a stop, it formed into a black umbrella and enveloped the castle within it. Bang! The sound of a gun being fired rang out, and a lustrous yellow bullet was shot towards Wei Chang's head. Just that, before the bullet was able to reach Wei Chang's head, it was stopped by an incorporeal black light and fell to the ground powerlessly. Wei Chang gazed at the sniper that was at the spire and stretched out his palm. There was no whatsoever high-end explosion, and instead, Wei Chang's arm transformed and turned into an unknown substance which had a big mouth. The sniper that was at the spire was stupefied, what fucking monster is this? In the moment of distraction, the monster which had only a mouth already appeared in front of the sniper. Followed by the opening of the mouth, the frightening rows of sharp teeth and threads of gluey liquid could be seen. Without waiting for the sniper to shriek, the malevolent big mouth already encased the sniper's head, and just like a snake, it straightforwardly swallowed the sniper. The super long arm was like a throat, and the swelling object that was moving in the super long arm was that sniper. The sniper was transported all the way to the inside of Wei Chang's body. Licking his lips, Wei Chang's eyes turned completely black and mumbled, "The taste of a human is still as enticing as ever." The alarm sound suddenly rang and all the higher-ups that were in the castle immediately became startled. What's the matter? Did the International Criminal Police came? Don't know, it should be that something happened outside. What is there to worry about? There would always be some fellows who think highly of themselves every year. Continue with the meeting. Wei Chang laughed lightly, then spread out both of his arms. Both arms transformed and formed into countless big mouth monsters. Every big mouth monster seemed to have its own target. The countless big mouth monsters bore through the castle, and the huge castle seemed as if it was bound up by a huge octopus. The scene was frightening. Furthermore, it could very clearly be seen that, within every throat, there was a swelling object moving towards the inside of Wei Chang's body. Burp, this is precisely the taste. Having not tasted it for a few years, I have finally tasted it again today. His honor is truly benevolent. The alarm sound suddenly disappeared and the higher UPS that were holding a meeting in the secret room all let out a sigh of relief. See, what did I say, it is but some small fries only. The others all laughed. Just that, within the entire castle, they were the only one remaining. Wei Chang, of course, had to place the main course at the last. Declaring their death, this was an old custom. After opening the gate and walking into the castle, various kinds of armors and oil paintings could be seen. Wei Chang casually seized all the armors and oil paintings, then walked towards the hall. When Wei Chang arrived at the center of the hall, he came to a stop, then stepped onto the ground with his right foot. Wei Chang immediately fell downwards, breaking through all kinds of mixed soil, and arriving at the lowest level's meeting room at the end, then looked at the 10 middle-aged men who were currently holding a meeting. The 10 higher UPS were discussing about the organization's direction, when all of a sudden, a person suddenly fell down from the top of the meeting room. The person who fell down was a stranger that was wearing a uniform. Those that knew Chinese all immediately saw the armband. Security guard. Who are you? One of the men stood up and shouted. Wei Chang walked towards them unhurriedly, and some of the men already took out their gun. Bang, bang, bang. The bullets were all totally not able to enter Wei Chang's body, and all of the bullets landed near Wei Chang's leg. I am called Wei Chang. I am binge, one of the 7 sins that is under his honor, the Supreme Overlord's command. To be able to die under the Supreme Overlord's order, it is you guys' blessing. Therefore, please give up on resisting. Wei Chang spread out both of his arms and had a face of pleasure on his face. It seemed as if I had returned to back in those days. All of the images where we were massacring everyone are suddenly reappearing in my mind. Also, those special lines, it has been a long time since I have read it out, my tone just now seemed like it was missing something. Should I read the lines out again? What rubbish! Wei Chang took a glance at the man who spoke, and his arm immediately transformed into a big mouth monster and swallowed the man. The remaining 9 people were all stupefied. What kind of monster if this? Is this a movie? Is this thing an alien? Wei Chang's arm could be seen transforming again and forming into 9 big mouth monsters this time. Each of the big mouth monsters suspended above the head of each of the remaining 9 people. The gluey thick liquid could be seen dripping out from the big mouth monster and dripping onto the head of the person that was below it. Kaiser will not let hh. Before even being able to finish what they wanted to say, the remaining 9 people were all immediately swallowed by each of the big mouth monster. Burp, Wei Chang let out a burp. Although there was not a lot, but I still had my enjoyment. Not sure how long I will have to wait for the next time. As for the Kaiser that they speak of. Burp. Most probably a joke, I guess. Evil spirit, death mage. Same as that day, a skeleton who wore a black robe raised up from the ground, then afterward, kneeled down in front of Wei Chang and said, Master. Tidy up everything. I will solemnly obey Master's order. Wei Chang casually opened a void black hole and traveled back to the bar. And as for the death mage, it floated up to the sky and read silently with his mouth, then raised up his staff, hell flames. Immediately, countless fireballs appeared in the sky and bombarded the castle. After the bombardment, only a large piece of scorched earth was left. Returning back to the bar, Wei Chang did not saw Yi Hua. Wei Chang first placed the oil paintings that he took from the castle and placed them onto the bar's wall, then afterward contacted Yi Hua. Currently, Yi Hua was sitting in the car and listening to Wei Chang's report. Looking at the watch, 26 minutes. However, there is another way that this matter could have been handled. Wei Chang's way of handling things is still the same as back then. Wait, after I go back, I will have to properly educate him. When doing things, one has to use their brain. The person who was driving the car was, of course, Qinya. The cold-looking small face appeared to be fuming right now. This fellow is really lazy to a whole new realm, to not even know how to drive a car, and furthermore let a female drive the car for you. You are truly a big boss. Yi Hua, can you find a time to go get your license? Qinya couldn't help but say. Yi Hua opened the window and said indifferently, you knowing how to drive the car is enough. But in the future, when my belly becomes big, it will be difficult for me to drive the car. Hire a driver then. Qinya was actually left speechless. This man was not only lazy, but he also doesn't even have ambition. Only knows how to tease me all day. That fiancé of mine is not even as arrogant as him. Qinya. Yi Hua called out lightly. What is it? Don't hope for me to do senseless things. Yi Hua said indifferently, then took out a cigarette. But after pausing for a moment, he kept the cigarette. Qinya, who was about to get angry, upon seeing Yi Hua's action, pursed her mouth and actually did not say anything. With Qinya driving the car, the two of them headed towards the suburbs. At the north of Longan City, there was a manor which occupied an enormous amount of space. Some of the big shots in Longan City of course knew who the manor belonged to, Qing family. This family, which had a long history, was rumored to be at the pinnacle during the Ming dynasty. However, this was a rumor and no one was able to prove if it was true or not. Chapter 19, I will deliver protection over to you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But what could be confirmed was that Qing family was very powerful right now. Within the country, Qing family was one of the very best big corporations. Unfortunately, there was no male in the current generation of Qing family, there were only 2 females. Although their talent was pretty good, they were still after all women, and in the future, they would also have to marry. Therefore, if one was able to marry a woman belonging to Qing family, it was equivalent to marrying with a mountain of wealth and becoming someone who other men would envy. Yi Hua was precisely a man who was able to marry a woman belonging to Qing family. Unfortunately, the reason that he married the other person was because of the child within that person's stomach, and there was completely no affection involved at all. The air in the suburbs was much fresher. Yi Hua opened the window and slightly squinted his eyes. Your family such is rich, to even specially build a road. Yi Hua said lightly. Qinya let out a breath, having too much money is also worrying. I can help relieve your worries by a bit. Yi Hua said faintly. Yi Hua, do you really feel no shame in using my money? You are a man, don't you know how to earn money yourself? Qinya couldn't help but reprimanded. Although I can support him for his entire life, I also don't want to see him not having the motivation to better himself. Yi Hua rubbed his temple, his tone still as calm as usual. It is not that I don't want to earn money, it is just that earning money is a boring thing. Can you not act cool? Qinya, you act much more than me. Just when the two of them was about to start quarreling, a red Ferrari F12 whistled past them, swirling up a bunch of tree leaves in its trail, and one of the tree leaves even fell onto Yi Hua's shoulder. According to Yi Hua's habits 5 years ago, Yi Hua would have already used the tree leaf that fell onto his shoulder to cut the car into half. Qinya wrinkled her brows and gazed at the Ferrari in front of her. Her beautiful eyes lighted up as she ferociously stepped onto the gas pedal. No matter Audi A8 was meant for commercial use after all, how would it even be a match for the Ferrari F12? In a short while, the butt of the Ferrari F12 disappeared from Qinya's sight and Qinya decreased the speed of her Audi A8 unwillingly. That fiancé of yours? Yi Hua asked indifferently. No, but it is someone even more annoying than that man. Yi Hua's interest seemed to be piqued. To be able to become someone who Qinya find annoying, the person should be quite a character, right? Tell me about that person. She is my sister, who has the same father as me but not mother, Qin Yutong. Qinya said coldly, seemingly that her relationship was not that good with this sister of her. However, Yihua's interest became much bigger. Is it that celebrity, Qin Yutong? Well, is there someone else with that name? Wait, something is not right, don't tell me that you are interested in her. According to Qinya's understanding of Yihua, this man was indeed not interested in the typical beautiful woman. Yihua nodded his head. I am of course interested in her. However, Qin Yutong, she herself did not come to my bar, but instead, her big sister came. Thinking up to here, Yihua laughed out once. This was the good point of not controlling things. Everywhere was filled with surprises and unexpected things. A layer of cold frost immediately appeared on Qinya's face as she said with a deep voice, "You are my husband right now. For you to say that you are interested in your sister in law right in front of me, I don't think that it is appropriate, right? What is there that is not appropriate? Passion between a male and female is normal." Screech. The tires left a black trace on the ground, and Qinya's face became much colder. From her expression, it seemed as if she wanted to perish together with Yihua. You say it one more time. Do you want to quarrel with me again? Yihua asked coldly. It is you who want to quarrel, you are my husband right now. Yihua couldn't help but take a cigarette, then lighted it and said, it is true that I am your husband now. Then, why did you still say that you are interested in my sister? Qinya questioned angrily. I have never forced others. On that day, it was also you who was willing to do it. If it was your sister who sent herself up to my doorstep, would not reject her. Yihua straightforwardly lay out everything bare. Qin Yutong was a woman that Yihua relatively admired. 5 years ago, she went all the way from a small extra, to gradually becoming an international superstar, and Yihua witnessed the whole process. If it was changed to my own world, Qin Yutong would be in existence that would in the future become a female overlord. Hearing Yihua's promise, Qinya let out a sigh of relief. Be at ease, she won't be like me and let you eat her up. What if it happens then? I will deliver protection over to you. Qinya said ruthlessly. Ha! Yihua let out a bright laugh. Although this woman sometimes makes me angry, but sometimes, she also seemed very. What is it again? Using humans' words to say it, it should be adorable, I guess. Actually, forget it, she is just stupid only. You still dare to laugh? I am going to fight you to the death. To speak the truth, Yihua was not good at fighting like this. Facing against Qinya's pinching technique, he did not have any way to retaliate at all because he was afraid of harming his own child. When Qinya discovered that Yihua was not retaliating, Qinya started going over the line. Enough already. Yihua couldn't help but shout out. Don't go too far and stop it now. Qinya snorted and drove the car towards the manor that was in front of them. 2 security guards stood outside the black iron gate. Just that, the uniform that the 2 security guards were wearing was much more high grade compared to Wei Chang's uniform. The uniform that the 2 security guards were wearing was at least Western suit grade. Big miss. Qinya said coldly, open the gate. The 2 security guards looked at Qinya entering into the manor foolishly. After a few minutes, they were still in a daze. The big miss seemed to have changed. One of them said foolishly. She became much more beautiful compared to the second miss. However, I feel that the second miss is still. Conquering the second miss would feel much satisfying, right? After all, the second miss is an international celebrity right now. Indeed, there is no need to argue about the second miss's figure. However, who is that man? Didn't the big miss's fiancé already came? I feel that there will be a good show to watch today. The man that we saw in the car just now seems quite formidable. Yihua, who was sitting in the car, laughed out once again. he heard the conversation of the two security guards. The two security guards are comparing you to Qin Yutong. Humph. Qin snorted. Although my sister's fame is very high, but I am not to be underestimated too. The building style of the manor was inclining towards the European style. At the house's door, there was a rock garden fountain, displaying out a grand aura, and at the side, there was a helicopter. The Ferrari F12 from just before was already parked at one side. Parked near the Ferrari F12, there were a Rolls-Royce and Bentley. Just that, right beside the Bentley, a Passat was also parked there, seemingly sort of pulling down the quality of the cars near it. When Qin saw that Passat, her brows wrinkled. I did not expect that Long Outyan would come this early. This car is even the car allocated to him by the company. This man sure is anxious, huh? When will you get a car for me? Yi Hua closed the car's door and said. In any case, I just precisely want to see the look of Qin when she gets angry. She seems just too stupid when she gets angry. Qin said petulantly, isn't the card with you? Whatever you want to buy, go and buy it yourself. Not sure how much the most expensive car would cost. Yi Hua said in a low voice. And Qin almost sprained her leg when she heard that. This bastard. Yi Hua. Please don't mess around anymore, we are already at my house right now, you have to listen to everything I say from now. Alright. Qin sighed. I hope that everything won't be messed up later on. Qin could be seen walking to the front of Yi Hua and using both of her hands to slightly tidy up Yi Hua's collar. Until she was satisfied with how it looked, she then held on to Yi Hua's arm and walked towards the door. And as for Yi Hua, his brows were slightly wrinkled. Just now, for a sudden split second, it felt very strange, it felt as if I was not that lonely anymore. However, this feeling went by in a flash. Looking at the building on me, it somewhat resembles that palace of mine. However, this building is lacking a bit of an austere aura, meaningless. Chapter 20, Quarreling is nothing out of the ordinary. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Opening the door and entering into the house, Yi Hua couldn't help but sighed for a bit. This woman's family is not just the typical rich, however, only this kind of family would be able to teach out this kind of woman. If I did not see wrongly, this floor should be sandalwood, where a square meter is at a few thousand RMB. For such a big house, just the floor alone is already quite a big expenses, not mentioning the other furniture. If it is in the lower amount, it would be around a few 100,000 RMB, and if it is in the higher amount, it would be around a few million RMB. Your family such is rich? Yi Hua said indifferently. Qin said lightly, we do okay I guess. This woman is beginning to get cocky again, seems like I cannot praise her. Big miss, you have finally come back. An old man who wore a butler outfit could be seen walking over with a smile. When he saw Yi Hua, he slightly went into a daze, but very quickly regained his composure and returned back to how he was before. Qin revealed out a shallow smile which could be rarely seen. Uncle Fu. Second Miss and Mr. Long have already arrived. Uncle Fu said with a smile. Qin nodded her head, took out a pair of female slippers from the shoe cabinet and gracefully took off her high heels. Uncle Fu sighed repeatedly. The big miss seems a bit different this time, and it seems like she has become much prettier. Slippers. Yi Hua said indifferently. Qin wished she could give a tight slap to Yi Hua. Is there someone who acts like that much of a boss? To even want me to help you take the slippers? However, when she saw that Yi Hua was carrying that much gifts with his hands, she reluctantly helped him to take the slippers. This time, it was Uncle Fu's turn to become astonished. The big miss actually squatted on the floor to help him change into the slippers. I am not blind, right? Just who is this man, her friend? If it was her friend, she wouldn't be that intimate with him, her boyfriend. But that shouldn't be. The big miss's fiancé is still currently sitting inside, and his identity was even confirmed by the master. It's too small. Yi Hua said indifferently. Qinya almost flipped out. Don't think that just because you are the child's father, you can act like this. Uncle Fu said with a slight smile, Mister, I will go and find a pair for you, please wait for a moment. There is no need for that, Uncle Fu, there is still another pair here. This time, Yi Hua was finally able to wear the slippers and did not have any more reasons to make things difficult for Qinya. Big miss, mister, inside please. Qinya was a little nervous, after all, she came to lay her cards on the table today, and refused to be an obedient girl. Uncle Fu, is my mom home yet? Qinya asked. The master is together with Big Madam. The second madam is also here too. Uncle Fu said. Yi Hua was a bit curious, what is the meaning of second madam? Originally, I thought that Qinya's mother had already passed away, after all, she said she and Qin Yutong had the same father but different mother. But from the looks of it, it isn't as what I had imagined. Her father actually had two women and even openly brought both of them home. This is a bit interesting. Seeing that Yi Hua was laughing, Qinya immediately knew what Yi Hua was thinking about, and immediately became angry and stepped onto Yi Hua. When Yi Hua saw the layer of slipper print that was imprinted onto his pure white sock, his misophobia mentality immediately erupted. Do you want to quarrel with me here? Yi Hua said coldly. This woman is very cocky, huh? Humph. How could Yi Hua be able to tolerate the stain on his sock? Just seeing the stain on the sock makes him want to rip the sock apart. Bring me a new pair of socks. You. Qinya was also extremely angry. Isn't it just a small black stain? Is there a need to make such a big deal out of it? Quickly. Yi Hua said in a deep voice, not being able to tolerate the stain for another half a minute. Uncle Fu hurriedly walked up, Mister, please wait a moment. Uncle Fu, don't bother with him. Qinya was also angry now. If I was to get a new pair of socks for him to change now, what about in the future then? He will just become much worse in the future. Big miss. Yi Hua's gaze became colder and colder, and there was even sort of a tendency of him going into a rage. Qinya, I'm warning you for the last time. I will also warn you for the last time, I am not your maid, I am your wife, there is a limit to my patience too. Uncle Fu's eyes were opened wide as if he had just seen Thanos invading the earth. The big miss actually said that she is his wife. What is going on? It was still the first time that Yi Hua had met with such an arrogant woman, he was practically at the edge of bursting with rage, if it was not for the child in the stomach. Take off the socks for me. Yi Hua breathed in and out repeatedly, controlling his anger. His temper had become better and better in those few years, if it was placed in the past, he would have long begun massacring everyone. Oh. This man actually gave in, and I still thought that he was going to persist and quarrel with me to the end. Since you have taken a step back, I will also take a step back too then. Qinya obediently squatted down and took off Yi Hua's socks. Only then did Yi Hua's anger settle down. Uncle Fu felt that his world was changing. What is going with the big miss, for her to even squat down to help this man take off his socks? You better not contradict me in the future, my temper is not good. Yi Hua said coldly. Qinya snorted coldly, I am a pregnant woman, you better not make me angry. Pregnant woman. Uncle Fu had a feeling of wanting to faint. My God. Are they merely acting for me to see or are they being serious? But, isn't their atmosphere a bit too strange? Both of them are not willing to bother with each other, but at the same time, they also seem so intimate with each other. I hope that the big miss won't go too overboard today, Great Master and Master have been worrying a lot for this matter. The corridor was not very long, along with Uncle Fu pushing open the double door, a few people appeared in front of Yi Hua's eyes, and those few people also looked over towards him. Long Outyan had arrived here since early morning. Of course, his purpose was very clear. Cut, which was to come and win over the favor of the people of Qing family. helping them check their pulse, and talking a bit about things that are good for maintaining health. Qinya's grandfather was 80 years old this year, and there were various kinds of ineradicable disease on him. However, ever since Long Outyen appeared, all of his symptoms had been gotten control over and even slowly gotten better. Also, his spouse, son, and 2 daughters.in-law have all been treated by Long Outyen too. I didn't expect that my old battle companion would have such a formidable grandson. If Qinya is to become a pair with him, it will definitely be a blessing for the Qing family. Eddie et Outyen, how have you been getting along with Qinya? Qing Qingren drank the tea which his big daughter.in-law Wang Qing boiled and asked with a smile. Long Outyen's appearance is pretty good, he can be counted as being able to squeeze into the category of handsome guys. He looks very clean while wearing a leisure outfit, however, he is lacking a bit of dignified aura. However, that doesn't really matter. And right now, Long Outyen was currently looking at the big celebrity, Qin Yutong. Just now when Qin Yutong walked in, he was even dazed. Why is the big celebrity Qin Yutong here? So she is actually Qinya's sister, and is birthed by the second madam, Zi Han. Being able to see Qin Yutong herself in person, I feel so happy right now. Temperament which is refined and clean, just like a fairy, white color long dress, revealing out a small part of each of her arms, beautiful hair which is smooth and soft like a waterfall, extremely clear beautiful eyes, which are like spring water, not containing the least bit of impurity at all, graceful sitting posture which reflects out her good upbringing, and the curve of her body that is revealed is incessantly alluring. Her figure makes one's heartbeat speed up, and wish that they could immediately kneel down and lick her feet. From her head all the way to her feet, not a single blemish can be found at all. This woman is simply a top quality among women. No, she is already at the category of fairies already. Furthermore, a woman like this is not in the slightest bit lacking compared to Qinya, and the main point is that she is even my sister.in-law, my God. This is the tempo of me going to be able to embrace 2 beautiful women in my embrace. I, Long Outyen, have to express that I am feeling very great right now. Although it seems that she disdains me right now, but what can be confirmed is that, she is going to become my small wife in the future. This is how the plot line should expand.